Ciao a tutti, this is Gabriel from Italy, and these are my orchids at the window. And I thought I would continue this series of videos by showcasing my orchids. I don't have many orchids, unfortunately, or maybe yet, I should say. But the advantage of not having very many orchids is that I can showcase them. But one way to proceed, and the way I chose to proceed, is to go by genus. And the genus I picked to start is Dendrobium. Okay, so these are my 4 Dendrobiums. And because I've studied Latin for so many years, every time I say Dendrobiums, there's a little pretentious voice in my head that says, no, it's not Dendrobiums, it's Dendrobia. But no, well, that would just make me sound like a plonker. So let's stick with Dendrobiums. And these are my 4 ones. And why did I choose to start with Dendrobiums? Who knows? No, I know. It's because this one just bloomed, this guy just bloomed, and I sort of wanted to start there so that I could showcase his flowers. But yeah, you know, life. So I didn't quite get around with work, and also I need to be home at the right time of day to film. I just didn't make it. This guy was in bloom for a week, and that just didn't cut it. So let's start showing you these plants. And the first plant that I want to talk about is this Dendrobium nobile hybrid variety IKEA, as I bought it in IKEA. And I'll sort of try and put up the blooms it make. They're white. I think I'll add some footage of that. So this is not my favorite plant, but it's one that I'm very affectionate to because it sort of showcases my process of growing as an orchid amateur. It sort of showcases all type of bad growing that I inflicted to my orchids in the course of the last year. So I've had it for, let's say, so this was the original cane that I had it when I bought it. And it was in bloom and it had leaves, and now it only has one. So this is the first year. This is this sort of gnarly cane that went all over the place and didn't fully develop is second year. And this taller one, as you can see, I discovered the use of stakes for Dendrobium canes is third year. Still didn't fully develop, but we're getting better. And this is next year, or 2017's cane, and 2018's blooms. So as I said, it sort of showcases what I did wrong. And first of all, you know, this cane came out and I didn't know I should stake it. And I didn't know when I stake Dendrobium canes, I should start right away because otherwise later on it's impossible. So it sort of went all over the place, and this plant was very difficult to place. I had to wait for the cane to fully develop so that then I could sort of bunch it up with the other ones. Also, it didn't fully develop, and neither did this one, which I managed to grow straight like I wanted. But this is a problem, and I know the cause of the problem, so this is good. I know it's because of lack of water. I've told you in my previous video of mine that I'm extremely lazy. I can water once a week, and this is what I naturally do. And I've done it with this one. Nah, this one needs more water. So it could be that I haven't watered enough. It could be that the roots are not well. We're going to talk about my root problem later because it's a generalized problem. But anyway, at least I know that it needs more water. I do feed it. I don't think it's the feed that it lacks. Here, I had found out the problem. And I did increase watering to twice a week, and that helped. I think I started too late, so it didn't quite fully develop. It didn't get to that terminal leaf. Anyway, not all is bad. I mean, it doesn't only showcase problems, it also showcases the good part, what I did right. And, you know, when I bought it, it had this cane and it was in full bloom. And I thought, wow, that's beautiful. I have to try. But this cane bloomed halfway up and then it sort of thought about it for like 3 months and then flowered the rest of the way. So it was in bloom twice, but the spectacle was half the size each time. And you know, nobiles are nice when the whole cane blooms at once. That is a good display. And this cane this year did just that. So this cane is a lot bigger than the one it had when I bought it, and it was in full bloom. So I achieved this year the best blooming that this orchid has done, and it was my doing. So that I'm proud of. Okay, back to problems. Because it's with problems that we grow. Um, you know, you should notice the good things in life, but you should also notice the bad things. And maybe the bad things are the most useful ones sometimes, if they're not too bad. Um, anyway, I counted the age in years of this plant by counting canes. This is a problem. Um, I've seen nobiles, I've seen healthy nobiles, and I mean, this plant should put out at least 3 growths a year. 3, 4, 5. Um, I think this puts out 1 growth per year, which is better than 0. But it means that the plant is sort of struggling. It's minimum wage. I have to improve that. And the main problem now, so the main problem is with roots. Let me take this plant out and sort of plant it here. So this is a good representative of a problem that I have with all roots of all my plants, all my orchids. Well, not all of them, but it's sort of generalized. They get stained. Some of these might be dead, but even the ones that were alive, this one is digging in, so it's not stopping here. It looks like it's stopping there, but actually the prosecution is so dark that it's difficult to see. So why does this happen? Why? And I thought maybe it was the fertilizer that I used. And it was like, you know, like a bought fertilizer. God knows if it was any good. And I stopped using that. Now I'm using the Schwerter fertilizer. And the Schwerter fertilizer is supposed to be really good. I don't over fertilize. I use the recommended dosage every second watering. If it's not the recommended dosage, is sometimes a little less, never more. Um, Maybe it's the fertilizer. I don't know. Maybe it's the way I fertilize. I don't know. Maybe, and I hope it's not this one, maybe it's my water. I use tap water. I seriously hope I don't have to move to something like reverse osmosis or something fancy like that. Um, why? What do you think? Do you have an opinion? Does this happen to you? Did you, and if it did you find a solution? Please let me know. Let me know. I don't know what I'm doing, so don't worry about um, giving me suggestions and tips and telling me that I am ignorant and that the problem is obvious. Maybe it is obvious, but unfortunately, not to me because I am ignorant. Not completely, but quite ignorant still. So, second dendrobium, and this is a Dendrobium PRD, also known as Dendrobium aphyllum or aphyllum. And this is a long plant, a dangling plant, and it usually dangles from that basket up there. And I seriously thought I wasn't doing very well with this one. And also, I dropped it twice, so it had wild repottings, and then it had enormous kikis, and I removed them and I planted them here and here and here. Um, and yeah, I thought it was a disaster. And I've had this for a little over a year. I think I got it from Klassen Orchideen in the Netherlands. Um, and it arrived maybe, well, it was probably March last year. Yeah, and it had this cane, and this cane were about this big. So I managed to grow them in this case all the way to the end, to that terminal leaf. Um, the rest was bare, um, but it did bloom. And let me put up some footage of it blooming. So this guide has made me a proud daddy. But yeah, so what it did, it bloomed on last year's canes. Um, I've seen pictures, and I think the leaves should drop before it blooms, which they didn't. They are sort of slowly dropping now, but the leaves were on with the flowers. And I think that sort of detracts from the blooming effect. I think the colors are, the plant looks better if it is leafless when it blooms. Maybe it should get a colder winter. It did get a winter rest in terms of watering. I didn't water it for a full month, and blooms suddenly appeared. I'm not saying there was a cause and effect because, you know, when you try one thing, it's the first year. So I tried this and it sort of worked, but I don't know if it worked or something else worked. Maybe it would have bloomed anyway. Um, I don't think it. I don't think it could have bloomed more actually, but maybe it was something else. But what I could do is give it a bit more cold, and I can do that. So anyway, the main plant bloomed, and now nothing is happening in terms of growth. And this is the main plant. So there's no sprouts. I think it's having a think after the blooming. Not too. Don't think too long. Just bit of rest, and then let's get a move on. Life goes on. Okay, I was happy about the blooms, but let's not get overexcited about that. Um, and the kikis, at least this one and this one, didn't bloom, but they are starting to grow. This kiki isn't. Uh, well, 2 out of 3. But let's not just. Maybe this one is having a think as well. Who knows? Um, so I am happy about this one. As I said, my main problem was that the flowers are beautiful, but they're not scented, and they only last for 1 week. I'm often away for work. If it happens that I'm away for work on that week, I'm practically screwed for that year as far as that plant is concerned. So Dendrobium aphyllum, or also known as Dendrobium pierardi. Okay, and this is the third orchid that I want to talk about. This is called Dendrobium officinale or officinale, and it comes from my favorite seller, which is Schwerter in Germany. I just really, really like their selection of plants. They don't have everything I want, but they do have a lot, and their site is nice. They're very good at sending. They're very good at not sending when the weather conditions suddenly turn. At the moment, I'm waiting for an order. I've been waiting since November, but that is just them being good about it and serious about it, because orchids that come to Italy from Germany need to pass through the Alps, and they can freeze. So now the weather, spring is coming, and soon I'll have 7 more orchids. 7. That is if I don't win the raffle from or the giveaway from Anna Maria, Miracle Orchids. In that case, there'll be 2 more, 9 orchids. Where am I going to put them? But yeah, Anyway, back to this Dendrobium. This guy hasn't done, I've also had it for a year, little bit less, 11 months. This hasn't done much. It hasn't extended the canes. It hasn't done anything. And I thought, okay, I need to change something because I'm not doing well with this. And it's as if it had heard me. And I got 2 new growths. This one and this small one coming out. But I said, okay, it's growing. No blooms, at least it's growing. And bum, it heard me again. This is a flower spike. This is a flower spike. And this is a flower spike. So I suspect this guy is actually gonna bloom on all of the available canes to bloom. So good. It lives in a yogurt pot, and it's still, happy little guy. Didn't say much for a whole year, and now is saying his piece. Good. Good. And last, and in this case, unfortunately, least as well, my Dendrobium farmerie, which I bought at Riboni Orchidee, which is a lovely nursery in the north of Italy, near the Como Lake, which is a lovely nursery, and I'll put the link to their website in the description. I don't know if they've redone their website. Their website is not much, but I assure you, these guys are extremely knowledgeable, and the nursery is great. Um, so when I went, I just didn't have any money to invest in orchids. So I bought orchiata bark, which they had for a reasonable price, given that it's orchiata. And I did buy this one. And yeah, this one is not liking it at my place. So first of all, you see the roots are not good, the ones that are sticking out. Um, it's due for a repot. Let's see what's underneath. Maybe I'll see. But see, the roots are stained. Staining of the roots again and dying of the tips. I forgot humidity earlier. Maybe it's lack of humidity. You know, I just... That is the only radiator that I have in the living room, and I can't not turn it on in the winter. And I do take mitigating precautions against dry air, but you know, there's only so much I can do in the house. It's not a greenhouse, it's a house. Anyway, this is this year's growth. This is this year's growth. Again, not fully developed, maybe lack of water again. No sign of budding, but also, even more worrying, no sign of new growths whatsoever. So this one is not a happy bunny. Anyway, these are my four dendrobiums. And a thought, maybe a plan. Um, I need more space indoors for the orchid hole that is coming from Schwerta, and also at the towards the end of this month, I think it's the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of April, I am going to Monte Catone near Rome to the biggest orchid show that Italy has. And I just can't believe for a second that I'll come away without any orchids. So I need more space in the house. And there are signs that this guy might need a little bit more cold. I've been researching it. Dendrobium nobilis can be grown cold. Of course, this is not a Dendrobium nobili, it's a nobili hybrid, and God knows what is in there besides nobili. So I don't know if that can be grown cold. I think the officinale can be grown cold. I can't find a lot of information about the farmery, but I do live in the Italian Riviera. So I have mild winters for Italy. The minimum temperature in winter gets to 5 degrees centigrade. It can, in very rare occasions, go below that, but freezing is very, very rare. So if that's the case, I can always move them indoors for a bit. So what do you think? Can I grow these outside? Would you? I don't know. If that's the case, then I get free space for more orchids at the window as opposed to in the garden. So, okay, I think this is all for the dendrobium. If it's interesting, I'll keep documenting my orchids. As I said, I don't have very many, so I have the luxury of showing them all to you. Okay, ciao!